Daylight savings?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just excited to see you.
Yeah.
This is the highlight of my week.
Yes.
I'm an empty nester. Sometimes I spend some time by myself. That's okay. But I'm really excited for this episode today, guys. We're getting towards the end of season 3, episode 21.
How many are there in season 3?
I think 25.
25? Oh, yeah, we're getting.
They keep doing the excessive number of episodes on every season. It's crazy.
I know. Every season we're like, oh, geez, that was a lot. That was a lot of episodes. But welcome to the OC, bitches.
Yeah, bitches, welcome. Listen, so guys, today's guest is Jeff Granzow. Jeff was one of our uber-talented editors on the OC. After the OC, he went on to shows like Chuck, a little show called Heart of Dixie,
Yeah,
The 100, and most recently, Josh and Stephanie's new show coming up, City on Fire, with editor and frequent contributor to this podcast, Matt Ramsey. You know, Jeff also famously paid $5,000 to have a date with Julie Cooper.
of course.
Well, he had a tongue like sandpaper. Wait, that's the actor. No, okay. Welcome, Jeff. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely, I love that my the pronunciation of my name has gotten so much airplay on this podcast. That's perfect.
Literally, before we started, I said, for some reason, my brain always did Granzow, and it's Granzow.
Yeah.
And there is a blooper on it, if you remember that. Yep.
That's a lot of play, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Definitely memorable.
Yeah, I was actually, when you were talking to Ramsey, I was at the gym listening to the podcast, and I was, just doing a machine. I just started cracking up when you guys were riffing on that.
So you clearly started, let's start at the beginning, because you clearly started with you had done a few other things before the OC, but the OC was a real, I guess, a step up in your career. And
yeah, that's where, I started as Norman Buckley's assistant on the pilot, and then just kind of gradually got more and more episodes to cut, and by season 4, I was full-time editing.
Right.
Wow.
Because Norman not full-time editing? He had switched?
He had left by season 4 to do his full-time directing, and Matt left as well.
Oh, okay. So who else edited with you then?
On season 4, it was me, Tim Good, and Matt Barber.
Oh, right. Tim's going to come on.
Who were all 3 of us were assistants.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
From season 1, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. And then season 4 obviously is going to look so much better.
So, and how did you end up getting the job? Was it from Norman somehow?
Yeah, just a lot of, Norman really went to bat for me, and of course Josh and Stephanie, I owe a good chunk of my career to them, for getting me started and everything.
Yeah, you kind of stayed with the family after the OC, right?
I've done a lot with them since then, so I'm glad they keep me around.
Right. And you even worked on Heart of Dixie, too, the whole time.
Yep.
A little show.
From day one on that one, yeah.
Yeah.
Lila.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh. I was on a Zoom call with Scott and Wilson. We're all like, why can't we bring Heart of Dixie back?
Would you do that? You do it.
Yeah. Sure, I would do anything.
Do anything. I would do anything.
I'm pretty breezy.
So, one of my questions was as a young editor, to be on a show like the OC that had such huge success very, very quickly, do you have any reflections on that?
When we were doing the pilot, I just remember there's sort of a sense that it was going to be kind of a big deal, but you didn't really know. Until it aired, we were just it was crazy because it got picked up before we were even finished with the pilot, and because based on this little sort of sizzle reel that we'd cut together. Well, actually, Norman had cut one, and then the guys over at Fox cut another one, and somehow between those two, it got picked up based off of that, and then we finished the pilot, cemented the deal, and from what I remember anyway, I remember our post producer, one of our post producers, Rick Hubert, just looking at this thing and saying, "This is going to be huge," and I'm like, maybe,
Maybe. Well, how old were you during the pilot?
I think I was like 25. I was in my mid-20s.
Right.
Crazy,
25
right?
or something, yeah. God, we were all... I felt like everyone on that crew was like under 35, at least in the office.
Josh was the young one.
Yeah.
27.
Right.
It's so crazy that he was 27 during the pilot.
Is editing a chill job or a very stressful job?
Well, with Josh and Stephanie, it's pretty chill. It definitely runs the gamut, but they're easy to work with. They really allow you the space to be creative, and it's just a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh is all right.
Do you remember much of the show? today, do you remember, or did you have to go back and really remind yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watched this episode again. It's fun. Like season 1, I remember like all the episode numbers and what they were, and
Oh, wow.
and at least I think I do. But yeah, after season 2 and everything, you just like listening to you guys talk about episodes as it goes on further and further. I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't remember that.
I find that too. In season 3, I'm like, I don't remember. I have little small, like today's episode, I remember that speech to Volchok,
Right.
but I don't remember all these other little things because I think as we go on, I think I was paying attention to the entire production in the beginning, and then you get to a point where you kind of pay attention to just what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, we were as assistants, we were doing they let us cut a lot, and so the more I hear you guys talk, every now and then I'm like, I think I cut that scene. I think I cut that, at least the first pass of it anyway. So 'cause I definitely remember a lot about some of the stuff that when you guys bring it up.
That's really cool.
So it was like a very mentoring, teaching kind of
Oh
environment.
yeah, I mean it was like going to film school and getting paid for it for
That's
sure.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's the best way to do it because you can go. You went to film school, right?
Yeah.
In Chicago?
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, so that's one way of doing it. But a lot of people ask about this industry, and it's like you can go to film school, you can go to acting class, or you can get degrees and all of that. But sometimes it really is a business of doing and learning on set and working. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
for
and
sure.
I had some of the best mentors in the business between Norman and Matt, and
Aw.
yeah.
That's
It's
awesome.
wonderful.
Do you have any like favorite storylines or scenes or anything like that from the show?
Man, I don't know. It would probably be somewhere in season 1.
Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, I
No pressure. No pressure.
don't know. I mean, I anything with Brody in it, I was it was always fun. I mean, his improvs and everything. I was just thinking this morning how like I don't in my career I don't think I've ever had an actor who was such a great improver.
Really?
In future shows. I mean, some have come close, but like it's so fun to throw stuff in there that he does and just be like, are we going to get away with this?
Right.
I was watching a couple episodes before before this one, and you guys probably already talked about this, but at the beginning of 19, when he's like, what is he? Is it
Touch
like,
your
touch my
pooper.
pooper?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I totally forgot about that, and I'm like, I just
yep.
lost it.
Yeah.
Well, I could just see between you and because Norman can be quite serious, and Matt has like a very kind of young boy
He has a
sense
good
of
sense
humor.
of humor.
Yeah.
He gets
Yeah.
my jokes.
And he loved, I mean, I think editors love to add things in or see what they can get away with. Or he even said that he loved to get away with things or leave the cuss words in or something.
Oh,
But then
yeah.
he actually got a letter, Matt got a letter from the network saying you can't do this stuff anymore, whatever. But
Yeah.
so you kind of push the envelope because you're entertaining yourself at the same time.
We love to do that. We did that on Heart of Dixie a lot too. Just like leave all the customers in and just like,
There's a lot of like, oh, fuck.
let's see what they can do. Let's see what they say.
Right.
I probably had the most improvs on that show, though. I mean, probably, right, Jeff? Right?
You and Wilson, yeah.
Did you ever get to see the bloopers? I mean, because sometimes they'll
Oh yeah,
cop-
we cut
you would
blooper.
cut
I mean,
them.
we cut these. You probably remember these elaborate blooper reels. That I mean, half of them were bloopers, and then the other half was like video that you guys shot just of the crew and the cast and everything. And we put music to the whole thing and played them at the rep party. Like you've seen them. And but that started with Norman. I think on Fastlane as well. The show we did before the OC. He was just real into just going to town on the gag reels for the parties. And
They
everything.
were
So
very,
fun.
I mean, you can see them on YouTube. We've said that many times, but they were very elaborate productions.
Mhm.
And
I didn't
there's-
know. I have to go check it out.
Yeah, you can go watch them all on. Well, then let's get into this episode.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the synopsis is Ryan heads to Albuquerque to invite his mom to graduation while Summer tries to figure out why Seth broke up with her. Julie meddles with Marissa and Volchok's relationship, and Sandy and Kirsten's relationship continues to suffer. Directed by Ian Toynton, written by Mike Kelly. Original air date April 13th, 2006.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
Any
let's-
opening thoughts on this episode, Jeff?
I remember I loved Ian Toynton. He
Yes.
was such a blast to work with.
Yes.
He did a great job on that. I really like this episode. I think the second half of season 3 kind of gets a bad rap. I always thought the second half of season 3 was pretty decent after we kind of cleared the whole Johnny of it all and
The Johnny.
and, yeah.
Everyone's favorite storyline.
This episode, I think, just has this kind of quiet drama to it that it's not like it's not the craziest, wackiest episode. It's not the most intense episode, except for the almost rape toward the end. But other than that, like I love the subtleness of this episode, especially how Ben plays everything. And
I was just going to say, you said quiet and then you said subtle, and there's a very specific scene with Ryan and Dawn that it's one of those moments where you see, when he finally says sorry. I know we're jumping ahead, but I was watching him, and it's when you have and Daphne Ashbrook is a very skilled, very, very talented actress.
She's fantastic.
Actor, sorry. And there was just this moment where you can see, and as an actor, I love to work with actors who are better than me, which is a lot of them.
Same.
No, but it just elevates the scene, and you can see where there was a real connection, and there was just a really wonderful, real acting choices between those two.
Yeah. I don't think we've really seen much of her since the beginning of season 1. I think there was one other episode where Sandy goes to visit her, but she, at the beginning, the pilot and the gambling episode, I mean, she does her thing, but this episode, she really, you just really feel for her, and now that she's kind of coming through her addiction issues and. I remember Stephanie in the room one point saying, "How do we get this woman an Emmy for a guest starring role?"
Really?
She was really on board with her.
She was fantastic.
Yeah.
In this episode particularly, I was like writing down like how good she is in this episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The holidays came early this year, ladies. If you're still not sure what to get the man in your life, then look no further than our friends at Manscaped. The leading men's hygiene brand just launched new products that your man will actually use, including their new shower time favorite, the Body Buffer. It's time to give the man in your life the gift of smooth balls and a good shower time experience this holiday season. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/theOC.
I don't know about you, but I'm tired of finding Santa's beard in my dude's pants. Hairy jingle balls are a thing of the past. With Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Okay, so there are some guys out there who still have the full Monty,
Like, I do not want to use pubes as dental floss, okay?
Well, it's like, I'm not a cat. I don't lick fur. I don't want to lick fur.
Disgusting. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology. Candy cane balls are no more. It's also waterproof, so he can use it in the shower. It's like a gift to yourself with less mess.
'Tis the season to load up on Manscaped products. Get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/theOC.
That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com/theOC. Get your man a gift you'll both enjoy. The gift of Manscaped. His jingle balls will thank you. Jingle balls, jingle all the way.
If you want to avoid boring, basic, and bland gifts this year, Uncommon Goods is your secret weapon. Uncommon Goods is here to make your holiday shopping stress-free by scouring the globe for the most remarkable and truly unique gifts for everyone on your list. Whether you're shopping for your Secret Santa or your entire family, Uncommon Goods knows exactly what they want. Stocking stuffers are kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
But this is one that I just want somebody to get me. It's literally mistaken lyrics coasters because you know how bad I am with lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lyrics like been spending most our lives giving other gangsters hair advice.
Is that a real lyric or a wrong one?
That's the wrong one.
Okay. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. These fine products are often made in small batches, so shop now before they sell out this holiday season. The other night, I couldn't sleep in bed, and I'm like Googling unique Christmas gifts, and Uncommon Goods popped up, and I had so much fun on this site. All of the unique finds, even cozy things. I love cozy at Christmas. They had so many awesome options.
And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $2.5 million to date.
To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/OC. That's uncommongoods.com/OC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary.
Well, and so in the beginning, it starts with, I guess, Seth is making some swordfish, and but then
Barbecutionist that he is.
and then I guess what's going on with Kirsten, we saw that she's celebrated 9 months, but clearly she's been paying attention, or she's been having somewhat of a communication with Dawn, so much so that she's saying to Ryan that she should invite her to his graduation. And Sandy's like, that's not a very good job. That's not a great idea. She wasn't doing so great. It's an interesting thing I thought about, like all the women in Ryan's life that he's loved, Marissa, his mom, and Kirsten all have a drinking problem.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where he's like, I'm going to get out of here. But Kirsten kind of follows up and suggests this trip to Albuquerque, and which is, she said, I'll go with you, or I'll send you a car, which is a very Newport of her, right?
Right.
And Ryan's just like, I love he's like, I'm going to go wash up. And then he exits the kitchen to go wash up in the pool house. And everyone, the audience is sitting there thinking there's a sink right over there. And then Brody, I think in an improv, is just like, there's a sink right over there.
There's a sink right. And then he goes, and I'm going to go wash up. Because it's like they are very, Kirsten's in this world of like processing all of her stuff and we now know that she knows that Dawn's doing well, and that to facilitate that's kind of her, I guess, the recovery is that they have to get them together.
Right.
And it's a really, but it's uncomfortable.
And Ryan's clearly skeptical the whole time, as you would expect him to be.
Yeah. But
sure.
she sends him off, at 8. At first I was like, oh, he's going by himself. And I'm like, yeah, I was in Europe by myself when I was 17. He can go to Albuquerque.
It's like
Big
a
deal.
half-hour flight, whatever
Right.
it is. It's simple. It's simple.
But
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this whole storyline, so Ryan goes, he is intending to invite his mom to the graduation. But he shows up at her diner. That's what first happens, right? It's at night and he goes to the diner.
Well, it's daytime when he first gets there.
Oh, when he first gets there and she's going to be there later and he meets Chloe.
Waitress,
She's really cute.
The waitress, who is really cute.
Yeah, she's great.
Nicole Garza, who plays Chloe, who is so cute.
And they shot this. It looked familiar to me. It's the oldest restaurant in Los Angeles.
Really?
It's called the
Saugus Cafe. I actually just drove by there on my way here this morning. That's my stopping. It's up in Santa Clarita.
No way.
It's from the 1800s.
And I didn't realize that. But I'm just like,
there's
crazy.
It's an old history there. Yeah. So not Albuquerque, but
looks like it.
Saugus.
Yeah, it totally looks like it.
The first restaurant my daughter ever went to was in Albuquerque.
Oh,
as a young baby.
What were you doing there?
We were driving a road trip from LA to Georgia because her dad had a job, and we got in an RV, and our first restaurant we stopped at was in Albuquerque.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Little facts for you.
Yeah. Very good.
Yes.
Well, anyway, so he meets Chloe, super cute. I thought I was just like I'm always looking at this from a point of view of like the writers, like where they're sitting in there and they're like, how do we facilitate, like what we create a world in one episode of Dawn and what she's doing and this girl. And I thought it was an interesting take to have this girl who some people could say she's really in his business or helps facilitate.
It's both.
This thing, right?
I think
I really like this whole kind of travel relationship thing that they had, especially coming off. You just had the whole thing with Sadie,
right?
And now this really sweet girl comes his way, and they hook up and everything. But it's I think it's more. It's just got this sweetness to it because she really does have an important role to play in the episode, and it's not just like something that Ryan does because he just needs that. I think it's really sweet.
There was something about it that, well, okay, so when he comes back in the evening and instantly sees his mom get pulled by the classic, that he's very triggered by her getting yanked by this guy, and he's almost, they're flirting, kissing, manhandling, whatever it is. But I can see why that would be a very big trigger.
He's conditioned just not to trust anything she's doing.
Right, of course.
Absolutely not, yeah.
Right, and that's when Chloe suggests, like, we want to go talk somewhere, and obviously they hit it off, they talk.
And their favorite song is a country song. Yeah. And she says something, he goes, well, I didn't expect this. And she says, if you might not have expected it, but maybe it's what you need. And all I could think was, and then they have a one night stand or a hookup or whatever you want to call it. And it's very mature, and they both know it's just for fun. There's an attractiveness there. But then I thought about it and I was like, this reminds me of like Kid Chino, right? Like he's because remember when he was discussing or explaining to Seth, like, yeah, I hook up with girls. It's not like, it's almost like he needed it. He needed a good old, he needed to feel good. He needed to, he's not pining for Sadie. He realized that he's moved on, and it was just like something, and I don't know, it was just very like, it is what it is.
There's a little, I mean, there's a little bit of a connection there for sure. That helps him along.
Right, right. It was the sex scene was hot. Like Ryan. I mean, I was like, okay, Ryan. Okay.
Yeah, and I intentionally kept the country song from the bar playing over that because it was a little bit of a contrast because I think it was a slower country song and against the fun of the fast
hookup. Yeah.
Well, and I think we've talked about this a lot. I mean, we're all storytellers, but your talent is really helping the audience. I mean, I've always said this, manipulate, so to feel what's going on in the scene, and you have the choice of, you choose songs that get approved, or you tend to, like, how much is it just coming from you, or is it in the script sometimes?
It varies. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of it's in the script, but some of it, I know you guys have talked before about the compilations that Alex Patsavas would give us, and so we would pull from those. I'd say the vast majority would be pulled from those if they weren't scripted. Then every now and then we'd sort of go off and just grab something from our own library just for fun, just to see if we could get away with it, and
entertain yourselves. Yeah. So, but then Chloe does clock the graduation tickets, and it makes this assumption, I guess, and then of course she ends up like letting it slip.
I know. So I really did. I did go back and forth a lot with Chloe in this episode because a lot of it was like, you're meddling a little too much here. Like, you don't even know. You just met this guy. Like, what is this? But then she ultimately is the thing that drives Ryan to turn it all around.
Well, I mean, there's the scene where she gets, this is, and when Daphne actually finally sees him, or I want to say Daphne Dawn, when Dawn sees him, it's just like, she's just genuine. It's like she's a breath of fresh air because we remember her from the casino night and being in jail. And now we see this completely like...
And she loves her kid.
That whole exchange of looks between the two, I just love it. Because you kind of expect that Ryan's going to go in there and it's not going to go well.
Right.
And he has this great smile. As much as we see Ryan smile, which is not a lot. I mean, he's she smiles at him, he smiles at her, and it's this really kind of aw shucks look. He kind of looks down, looks back up, and it's a great moment. It's not really expected.
Well, and also like you said, he's conditioned, but maybe this is the best he's ever seen her, and it's too good to be true. So he's still very cautious. And and in the back of his mind, she's got this boyfriend who's got to be the same. It's the same old story, kind of situation. And but then when she gets all excited about, like, she says, I want to buy everyone dinner, and I want to buy dinner and buy a dress and everything.
Yeah, she's all excited.
Well, I think that's in the bar too, right? Later. Because I think that's sort of the moment where Ryan just starts to rethink everything, and then
the dress
when she brings the dress,
right?
I think they do it in the hotel room.
Yeah,
she's like, "Look at this dress," and I was like,
"Well, that's when he actually says,
maybe you shouldn't. Why don't you just skip it?"
She's like, "It's not like what Kirsten." I guess she chose to call her Kirsten.
Yeah, I kind of like that she calls her Kirsten. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I don't either, but it
totally
happens twice in this episode.
Yeah, some people will do that, but the dress was, and if the fun, I looked at it twice. I watched it, and I was like, "Is the dress that bad?" And it's because the color was fine, but it was just that really
it had like rhinestone
collar.
Look, it looked like she was going to a casino or something. You know what I mean? Like it was probably homage to casino night and not a graduation.
But it was so awful. Like when he says that, we're actually going to blow it off. And she goes, you don't have to lie to me.
Yeah, I was just never ashamed of my family.
She said, but the one thing, I was never ashamed of my family. Yeah. When you start picturing her,
Mhm.
and he'd do that. You put yourself in Ryan's shoes. You start picturing her at the graduation.
Right.
And
with the guy.
Yeah, with the guy.
He's
Yeah, because I can
embarrassed.
bring a friend, right?
Right,
and
right.
he's just, he's
I
going to
get
avoid that, right?
Yeah, I know that feeling, But then you just have to realize, and she's right. It's like family, and you just,
Right.
I know.
And then, of course, Sadie, not Sadie,
Chloe.
Chloe says, I'll take you to the airport, but let's make a stop, and pulls over and I guess gets...
Is it normal for diners to have lockers?
You know what? I was going to say the same thing. Like, and it's a huge locker room. Like,
Yeah, it's like
there
your
is a time, like-
high school football game locker room.
Well, they did it, remember Alice is in
Happy,
the
Brady
TV
Bunch?
show? Alice? No, wait.
Oh, the
one that, the Nana, what's her...
Linda Lavin?
Linda Lavin played in the sitcom. Okay, I'm going way back in the 70s. Her famous sitcom is Alice, right?
Yeah.
And
Was there a
1970s.
locker room
Yeah, there was always a locker room, right?
in the diner?
Yeah, I was watching that, just wondering
just
how
aging
much of that is a TV thing. There's locker rooms in restaurants.
Yeah, no, I really just wanted to know.
Yeah, I think there is. But anyway, at least those. Yeah, we'll call the Saugus Cafe and ask them if they have it.
Yeah.
That was definitely a set. I don't think they
Yeah,
have
no,
the Saugus
exactly.
Cafe.
Imagine.
But apparently, so she has pictures of him, and I love that. This is when the prop masters will call you and say, "We need pictures of your childhood."
Right.
Ben,
And
it's
Ben's
so
real
cute.
pictures. Yeah.
I know, little Ben. It's really cute.
And she walks in and sees, and she says, "My eyes are red from crying, not from drinking." And this is that scene that I was talking about, where he goes, he doesn't do like "I'm so sorry." He just kind of is like, "Sorry," because he still has stuff that he's not over with her. That those resentments.
Oh yeah, it doesn't just go away.
And she says, "I wanted to come to your birthday," and he goes, "But you didn't." So
Right.
he's still.
Of course, he has all that. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't just heal from the childhood trauma he's endured
Right.
that quickly. But yes, this does turn it around, and he
Yeah.
invites her. It's sweet.
It was.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a very, very nice scene. That was probably my favorite scene of the show, of the episode.
Yeah.
I thought
it's
that
really
was
nice.
Yeah, and you can tell. I don't know. You can tell. Sometimes we have scenes as actors that we were discussing. Like I always say, do you remember feeling like Rachel and I had our experience was like I always just loved being at work. I never didn't like a storyline. But I can see how some people might not like some of their storylines, or it would get a little frustrating. My dad. I realized I had this conversation with my mom the other day. My dad was on a soap for 40 years, almost 40 years, Days of Our Lives. And we were talking about the fact, she said, I was pregnant and we were married. I got pregnant and he took the soap and I told him not to. And I said, why? And she's like, because it's a soap opera. And I was like, even back in 1965? And she said, well, he didn't like it. And I said, yeah, he did. And she's like, well, he got very frustrated with those storylines. And I said, yeah, I know, but at least it's a job that pays 52 weeks a year.
Right.
And, so in that respect, I was like, it wasn't that the job was bad. His attitude may have been bad once in a while, Mom. We were having this
You
conversation.
had a debate.
But you can see how, 40 years is not 4 years.
Right.
But no, I can see how, some storylines.
40 years, you probably went through every storyline known to man.
Oh, he broke his hand on the set once.
How long did he do it?
He did the pilot in 65 and retired.
Pilot? He was in the
He's in
first
the pilot,
episode of
yeah.
Days of Our Lives.
I remember one day he was like, I broke my hand. I'm like, why? And he goes, I just got pissed off at the soap and he hit the set. He was like, I broke his hand. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
but I digress. But I can see, I was thinking about that, if there's storylines that seem like if you're 25 still doing high school storylines or something like that.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So. But anyway, that I'm saying this is the opposite. I can see where Ben really he was shining in a scene like this with Daphne Ashbrook.
Yeah.
Agreed. The holidays are just around the corner, and HelloFresh makes this busy time of year easier than ever with chef-crafted recipes and pre-portioned ingredients delivered right to your door, so you can spend less time meal planning and prepping. I love how it shows up, and I like that I can put it together myself because I like to cook, but it's all ready for me. It's so convenient, especially on busy school days.
With over 35 weekly recipes, there's something to please everyone. You can also easily customize your recipes by swapping proteins or sides, upgrading to choice proteins, or even adding protein to a veggie meal. Quality is HelloFresh's priority. Ingredients travel from the farm to your home in less than 7 days, so you know they're fresh. I really loved my last week's menu. It had Thai coconut curry chicken, the griddled onion cheeseburgers, and mustard apricot pork tenderloin. They're so delicious and so easy and satisfying.
I also love the flexibility of HelloFresh and how they work with your schedule. You can log on and change your preferences, delivery day, and address in just a few clicks. Go to HelloFresh.com/OC70 and use code OC70 for 70% off plus free shipping.
That's HelloFresh.com/OC70 and use code OC70 for 70% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
You know what says I appreciate you? Cake. Get your loved ones a delicious treat from Milk Bar this holiday season. A box of desserts shipped right to their door is sure to spread the cheer. And now you can ship Milk Bar's desserts nationwide. Milk Bar is honestly the perfect gift for anyone and everyone in your life this holiday season. I love Milk Bar. The peppermint bark snap cookies, yum. Crunchy minty chocolatey.
The peppermint bark snap cookies are so good. They also have, for a limited time, just in time for the holidays, the new chocolate mint chip cake and truffle. Okay, so I've been a huge fan of Milk Bar for years. We used to go to the store in LA on Melrose for dessert with CG, my daughter. And now I love that you can order any time of the year.
Every Milk Bar creation is made fresh, then thoughtfully and beautifully packaged, so it arrives in perfect condition, ready to enjoy. It's never too early to plan ahead, and right now, Milk Bar has a special limited time offer. Get $15 off any order of $80 or more when you go to milkbarstore.com/OC.
You'll get $15 off an order of $80 by going to milkbarstore.com/OC. Milkbarstore.com/OC. Who's hungry for Milk Bar pie? I am.
Let's go to the Marissa, Volchok, Julie saga that was in this episode.
Yeah. So I guess Volchok's back and Marissa's
back
out
from
of the
Baja.
shower.
And she's out of the shower and you can see that there's like gel in her hair making it look wet.
Oh,
Did you
really?
notice that?
Is that what they used to do?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like-
Oh, you caught that.
I did.
But he's just magically appears in her room.
He does magically appear and I'm like, there's so many people in this house.
He's such a delightful asshole. I love Volchok.
Good.
He's
Delightful asshole.
He's so fun to catch.
He really is. Like, male, female, we all like Cam. We're looking at Cam.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Listen.
But he of course he kind of comes onto her and she's like, we can't do this, and of course he's like, why not? Because her mother might find out. I told Neil there were rats in this house, and then she says,
Listen
do you want
here,
to
Tommy Lee. You call him Tommy.
That was
Yeah.
later.
That
Yeah,
was
Listen up.
later.
Oh, it's later?
Yes. I mean, your lines in this episode are all priceless.
They're always
This
priceless.
is one of my now. I remember scenes very specifically, and what's interesting is because I always wonder if it's a memory from watching the show or is it the memory of actually doing it. And my memory of actually doing it was different than actually
Watching
seeing it because I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I have a different. I was like, so that's a real memory because I love doing that dialogue. But I also like when she's like, oh. I know I said he represents everything is bad for you. And but Julie goes, oh, but I get it.
Yeah, I know.
everything.
You're like, I get it.
I get it. She's like, oh, you're going to sleep with him? Yeah. But then she says, well, you were wrong about Ryan. So I realized Marissa's like literally just grasping at straws. Maybe she is trying to replace Ryan with this similar guy, like she sees that in him. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I think she probably wants him to be more similar than he probably is.
Or capable of doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they are hooking up
Yes.
back at his place, that fabulous, and I noticed that they, Norman was saying in that last episode that they had that red screen.
Did you have Norman last week?
No, well, he told me about it. I'm on text with
okay.
him. But he was explaining that, to help with the nudity or these sex scenes, how they pan across and kind of.
Yeah, there was that giant red gel thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that was.
Yeah.
But I guess it served its purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're always commenting on Volchok's pad or whatever you want to call it. Like, how does he have that much money? Why does he have such a cool loft?
Because he's living in some kind of industrial thing that's probably not
It's like
residential or something.
Oh, no, this is OC.
Yeah. Well, it could be in the residential area of Costa Mesa or something like that. But
Yeah, but so she's there hooking up with him, and
It's
there's
very
a knock at the
Flashdance.
door.
yeah. Knock, knock, knock.
Who is
Marissa!
it?
She's like, that's my mom. She takes off and has. I love that speech where he goes, oh, I thought you'd be my dealer. And this is the thing about Julie. She knows Marissa's there, right? And she says this fabulous, listen up, Tommy Lee. You're just
right. It's for her benefit.
Yeah, which is great dialogue. I wish I could talk like Julie sometimes, right? In real life.
This was one of those things I was kind of noticing watching this, that there are a lot of moments in this episode that for me were over tightened in editing just to get it to time. And this is one of them. Like when you said that line, I'd cut right on the line, and I'm watching it, I'm like, how did I not let her do an eyebrow raise, before she said that line? Like, how did I cut right on that line? And it was, I'm sure that was just a casualty of like, tighten, get it to time, because you got 40 minutes to tell the story. And there were a couple times in this episode where I was just like,
Really?
Well, that's an interesting thing because we discussed that when the first time we had Matt on. I was like, you'd see a scene and you'd say, why did you choose to have the camera on the back of this person's head, even though they're talking? Like those choices, you can change a scene but you needed the audience to know she could hear her mom talking about her in that scene.
Right.
It was really pivotal. It's important to hear that.
Right.
So that they know that she didn't just, and she hears those things. Marissa, and she's saying this speech for Marissa's benefit. She knows that I will be there and all that. But I love when she walks out and she has that speech and then she walks out and Marissa goes, "That's my mom."
Yeah.
But then what she said to Volchok was basically, she's like, Marissa is so much better than you. And Julie's speaking from real life experience. She's not, when he says dealer and she's like, just because you have a good Coke connect, she's not worried about that shit.
Right.
She's like, Marissa is better than this, and gets this message across. And he literally has this moment, and I love his acting choice where he's like, she is better than me. And this is the kind of shit my mom said to me. Remember, why can't you be this? And
Right.
and so Julie was able to dig at his worst insecurity, I think.
Right.
Yeah. I love when Julie can obviously be the bad guy at times, but then there's other times like this episode where you want the Julie Cooper to be harnessed in a way that's just like taking it to the Volchoks of the world. And I think we as an audience have been waiting for the Julie Volchok confrontation, and it just like works perfectly in this episode.
I remember that day doing that scene. I just was excited to be at work. And if you were to take any of the other parents, they would each handle it differently.
Completely.
Right?
Yeah. Julie was the best candidate for that.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I'm you. I came
Yeah.
from, I know this is, I know this experience. So,
And so we're going to delve more into the Volchok world because, as the episode goes on and Marissa's there, and then he comes back with the whole crew of people.
yeah, I was like this, and I realized I was like in the middle of the day, but then I was like, it's I was like, I've had parties on Saturdays. Have you had
Was
parties?
it a Saturday?
Yeah, because you were at detention at the same time. Or Summer was, so it was.
And it was a Saturday we were at detention?
I
Okay.
would assume, yeah.
believe
So
it.
I was like, okay, it's not a school day; it's a Saturday party, which I
It's still
get.
morning, and they're like partying, and
It gets pretty intense.
yeah. So we have Heather back, Aaron Foster. She's back.
She pays her such a compliment. She's like, "Oh, the princess has fallen from her throne and ended up in Volchok's bed," or so. She's like, "Oh, nice to see you too." She's like, "I didn't say it was nice to see you."
I know.
But it's an interesting thing how it progresses, and
Yeah, I was so uncomfortable as it goes on, and you see that Heather is just wasted, like beyond, and then you see the dude roofing her or whatever, whatever form of date rape drug he's using, and she downs it, and she's out of her mind, and Marissa is clocking all of this.
Yeah. But that was one thing. I was like, "What? Marissa's just watching this." Like, what?
Yeah, I was wondering why, she
but-
didn't run and grab the bottle or whatever.
But, story-wise, I don't know how else you would do it, because if she were to go and stop it right there, I
it
don't
wasn't
know.
as impactful. Yeah, because sometimes when we look at these shows, we're like, why didn't this character do this, this, and this? Well, the writers have written it so that we have these strong reactions, right? They want to take it to the extreme so that it has all of these storylines are servicing our lead actors.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I guess at least you could say she was drinking too, and so hopefully, maybe she was just too messed up at that time.
Also, I mean, Heather, it was so rotten to Marissa, and she's kind of watching it, and she ultimately does the right thing because she sees the guys drag Heather out.
Well, she first, and it's interesting because Marissa clearly she's hanging out, she's got but she's somebody who gets that wasted, has eyes of the whole party. And all of a sudden I was like, okay, now you're friends with a bunch of guys who do this, who clearly have done this before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I wonder if they've done this to Heather before.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're just, or these guys are like, they're looking for the opportunity. And I'm like, I'm so glad. I never knew a group of guys that would ever do something like that. I mean, I know it's real and it can happen, but it's just.
Have you ever been roofied?
No.
No.
I no. I know so many people who think that they have been.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know what happened because all of a sudden I couldn't remember anything, and I'm like, yeah, no. Have you?
No.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
no.
Not to my knowledge.
No,
I haven't.
no,
Yeah,
that's
me
it.
either.
Yeah.
No, terrible. But yeah, so she follows out to the van and says, I need my jacket because, and they literally are like, hey man, wait your turn.
Yeah, these guys are the worst.
The worst.
It is so
It was so uncomfortable, and like how she's there, it was awful. It made me feel so uncomfortable and just so like I wanted to be out of that scene so fast.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I do think it's an interesting thing as we all know what's happening in this season, and I think Misha got some of her best scenes to act in these last few episodes because they're very dramatic things to have to go through. I mean, she had dramatic stuff the whole series.
Yeah, she never had a
sure.
lack of drama, but
yeah.
after this, I cried when Marissa goes to Julie. She goes to her mommy after experiencing this, and she's like in tears.
Mom.
She's like, Mom, and I started
everything.
to cry.
Yeah.
It said everything because sometimes you just need your mom.
Was and I was thinking too when I was watching that scene is like it hit me even more knowing what's in store for her at the end of the end of the season. That in a way that when I was cutting it, I wasn't really thinking along those lines. But in retrospect now, it's just like it gets you. Yeah,
I know.
Right.
Watching it and being a mother, I was like, oh God.
Well, and it's like she played it, Julie. First season, Julie was like, "I'm yanking you out and taking you to." A facility, which actually she had every right to do. She should have done that, but obviously we couldn't ship her off. We need to see Marissa. But Julie's trying to. You see these parents constantly trying to get these kids to make their own decisions or come to their decisions on their own, which is an actual. Even if you somehow want to manipulate them, but just letting her know, Julie. I mean, you can see that Julie's really, really worried.
Yeah.
And when she finally is there, it's like, I'm here for you, babe. And I'm not going to judge you or punish you so it's because Julie's been humbled and she's just going to be there all this time where she was so self-centered and she thinks that anyway.
Right.
So she's now trying to put that priority as Marissa.
And again, not to keep going to the finale of the season, but knowing what's going to happen now, it's like Julie being more of the mother. I think it's even more impactful.
For sure.
That she's kind of having this transformation.
Yeah.
And knowing that you fail, in a way.
Right.
I'm dreading.
Well, we know it. Then we know what season 4 is like. So yeah, that stuff stayed with me for months.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Well, let's go into another sad part of
God, such a bummer,
Seth
man.
And Summer.
Summer bummer.
When we first of all, and I want to say there's some very beautiful editing in here because I always love this. So you see Summer, the music is playing, and you see. She's like kind of, I feel like she's just like kind of going through the motions. And then, of course.
This is at school?
At school.
Yeah. I remember specifically this scene. Like, I mean, the looks that you guys have when Seth is looking at you. And I remember specifically taking all the sound out and just playing score only. And, I think Rick Marvin did a great job with this episode, scoring this episode. It was just, I hadn't remembered that, but it was just gorgeous score all the way through. And so I just really wanted to play the score and only the score as you guys were kind of having your looks. And then, I brought, not that was like some, genius thing to do on my part. It was just like seeing the way that you guys were looking. I was just kind of like, I really wanted to highlight that. And I remember having that conversation at the mix.
So you took out ambient noise or kids talking in the school noise is what you're saying, just and had music? No, I noticed that. Yeah.
It's really sad.
And then, of course, Taylor clocks
Of course.
Seth being very, very sad. And I almost thought Summer was still going to be like, yeah, it's sad. But no,
She's like, assless, gutless, wuss.
Yeah. I love that line.
I was not
Turn him into
surprised.
assless, gutless, wuss, tartar.
Yeah.
And I call her T to the T. I have so many nicknames for Taylor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of nicknames going on in here.
Yeah. And then so Summer has the realization. She's like, wait a minute. If he broke up with me, like, there's a reason, so now she's all has a plan.
Yeah, she's that, and that's why Summer is just so unique. She is one of a kind because she's like, well, but she knows there's that thing about like trust your gut. There's an instinct and something, and this is why we instead of like sitting down, feeling sorry, being a victim, pity, any of that, she's like, no, there's something going on.
Yeah,
with
back to Summer mode.
I was laughing. She's like, I'm literally gonna be deserted on an island alone. And Taylor's like, Rhode Island's not actually an island.
Yeah. It's only 3 sides.
It's only 3 sides. Yeah.
No.
But anyway, so she has this whole plan. So they're in class and you see Summer just start cracking. Oh, that's a real knee slapper.
Whoa. Yeah, she's like,
Seth.
Yeah, and I love Seth's looks in there. He's just
what?
like,
What?
I was like, have we ever seen, I don't think I've ever seen Seth in the classroom. They were doing less and less classroom scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that actor. His name is Perry Anzalotti. You just see him in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I know we had so many great character actors, but he was like, really? You do a impersonation of me?
Mm-hmm.
Then you can go to Dr. Kim's.
Right.
He's like very...
And then I unbreak us up.
He's like, no, I don't like humor or anything like that.
Right.
Well, and I love that we learned because through these scenes, Seth is like, I have never been thrown out of a class. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
To get thrown out. And you're like, so I'm unbreaking?
Yeah, I'm unbreaking us up. Okay, we are unbroken up.
Right.
I have the power to do that. And this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. And he's just kind of like, he goes, woman, what'd he say? What's wrong with you, woman?
What's wrong with you,
What's
woman?
going on here?
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
obviously this is going on. And then he goes to her and then he breaks up with her again. I unbroke us up to figure out why you broke up with me. And, and then he breaks up with her and whatever. So this is going on the whole time.
That's so frustrating. He's just like, I need to do this. I love that Taylor is there taking Marissa's place.
She is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a dynamic between Taylor and Summer that's super refreshing because even Taylor seems to always have the answers for everything. But in this case, she's like, Summer's like, I'm not beyond scheming. And what an elaborate, beautiful.
I mean, the amount of balloons and rather large Hershey
hats off
kisses.
to props.
Yeah.
There was I was like, geez, Louise. And I remember watching this scene back. Like, I remembered the lines I said, like those certain ones that
When you were up on the cart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like as I was watching it, I like remember actually doing it and saying the words. And so harsh. Like, I feel like Seth is taking this to such an extreme just to get her to go to Brown and not tell her he didn't get in and all of it. Well, he tells her he doesn't love her anymore. Yeah,
because what does she say? Right. He's like, you didn't say you didn't. You said you didn't say you didn't love me.
Right.
And and she says, if you don't love me, I will go.
Yeah, she said, I will
Rhode
go
Island.
to Brown by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
And there he goes.
And that's what
I don't love you.
does it for him. He's just like, I can't let her do that.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's so heartbreaking.
And then she's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then she's like, get out of here, Cohen.
Yeah.
But then you have to go to detention.
Detention.
I know, it just
I'm like,
doubles down.
Wouldn't you be
I know.
sobbing?
I know. I forgot about that. I think she's like such in shock and like anger that it wasn't like the breakdown of tears, I guess. Or I just failed as an actress, which is also possible.
Oh, in the dissension scene. Yeah, because I felt that it was the whole scene on the cart was another one that Rick Marvin, I think, just nailed it. And it was heartbreaking. And then you think the scene is going to end. And then Taylor comes in, and you're like, "Oh God!"
No, you're
this
like,
is
I gotta
kind
go
of-
to detention.
This is kind of your fault.
Yeah.
And then then you think the scene's over again, and then it doubles down in the detention scene. And it's like, oh my God, this just keeps getting worse.
Well, I was like, Summer's strong because I don't know if a teenager could even handle being in the same room, I'd
Summer
feel like
Summer could.
Summer could. Yes. Well, that was, I wrote grrr.
I know.
So sad.
It's so sad and
Soul-crushing.
infuriating at the same time.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, let's go to our favorite storyline.
Just
What was that?
this storyline, I can't. So just briefly summarize.
So, Sandy, at first, he finds Matt drinking Josh's friend's rum. Do you remember that?
Star African rum.
Yeah.
Swifty.
And he even
Shout
says
out.
it. He says it. I need some. Yeah.
Yep, that has been a feature in a couple episodes,
Yeah,
as far as
right?
I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But Matt's decided that he wants.
Josh was at my house the other day, and where I keep the drinks. He's like, "Oh, he still got some Star African rum."
It's from 20
it's
years ago.
Probably 20 years old.
They still make it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still have it though.
That's awesome.
Aged.
There you go.
Aged rum. Well,
Aged
alcohol
rum.
doesn't really go bad, does it?
I don't know.
Well, Matt's decided that he's picked a number that he's his loss of wages because of Griffin, and he wants to bribe Griffin with all of his evidence. And of course, Sandy's like, "Oh, it's not a great idea," and he's like, "You're going to get in deep with this," and he's like, "No deeper than you," which is true. Like, you're in business with this guy anyway. So he's got this big plan that he's going to bribe this guy and meet up with him because Griffin's agreed to it, and which is Sandy's
I
like,
have to be honest. I can't even pay attention to this storyline.
Yeah, no.
Even as I was watching, it's like, okay, now I can be doing.
This is
that.
one I definitely remember very little about this storyline.
I think the bigger takeaway is how it's affecting Kirsten and Sandy, which is driving Kirsten to almost drink.
Right.
okay, so then. Yes. So then that's one of my favorite scenes as well because, Kirsten's, first of all, last episode, remember she left? She said, I watched this business, I watched what it did to my dad.
Right.
And he's like, oh, honey, it's so more complicated than that. And she's like, she walks out. And I'm like, where did she go? So this episode, she says, Sandy, I didn't see you this morning. You came in late last night. You're not like, what's going on? We need to talk. And she flat out says, we are disconnected and we need to reconnect. He's like, and he's day drinking. He's having a cocktail. He has to leave her to go have a drink anyway. While he sees Matt again. But then he says, I'll see you at 7. But while he's dealing with Griffin and getting Matt from getting his ass beat up, Kirsten's waiting and she pulls, and because he doesn't show up, she throws out the food. She pulls out a bottle of wine, which, by the way, said Featherbrook on it.
Oh, that was the winery.
I was like, first of all, why does she have wine, right?
Right.
But
Which isn't very well hidden.
Well, it's hidden. But then again, they were, if you remember, Caleb was always asking for the such and such. They're probably the kind of household that has very nice vintage wines.
Mm-hmm.
But would they have, I can only assume that they've kept certain wines for family, whatever,
Occasions.
but it's there.
Mhm.
And it did say Featherbrook, which is, which is like a Carter thing.
Yeah.
Throwback.
That's right.
But here's what I was going to say, that the editing was so beautiful in this, where she all of a sudden,
Thank you.
you cut to her face and then the bottle, and the bottle itself is emotional, and she's opening with the wine, this and that. And then all of a sudden, it was almost, maybe it's not, but it almost felt slow-mo.
Yes, well, that Ian got these little inserts, and he shot a lot of them slow mo, and so I think I kept some of them slow mo, some of them I sped up to real time.
Like the liquid falling out of the bottle felt slow.
That was slow.
Yeah.
And then then cutting up to her when she does that kind of look up with her eyes, and like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Yeah. And then when Seth comes in,
I'm like, when he walked in, I'm like, there's no way he doesn't smell wine after it was just all poured down the sink.
right. And then you cut to her hand
Yeah.
shaking.
Well, that was again. I mean, Ian. He intentionally got these little nuggets of inserts and whatnot, and I like that he shot it in slow mo so that we could really play with that. And
Well, I felt it. It was like you could feel like
Nice.
she was like this. It felt,
Yeah.
like what's going on. And I don't remember exactly what's coming up, so I'm glad that I don't remember everything. But this is clearly, we haven't dealt with it for a few episodes, and
Yep.
she's doing
Yeah.
so well.
It doesn't
And now
go
it's
away.
and I like that this scene and the little check-in she has with Seth. I mean, it's not totally on story for this episode in particular, but coming off having just gone to having had her success at AA, and I like that they're keeping it alive here, and I like that Seth kind of comes in, and Seth has got a million things on his mind, but he just very briefly says, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And that's just kind of all that's said about that's that for this episode, but I like it. I like that it's just kind of a quick little.
Right.
Check in on the whole storyline.
Well, because
Agreed.
it's so realistic. You don't just it's not something that you just go, okay, I'm better.
Yeah.
She's clearly the old triggers triggered her.
Right.
And what she's learning now is that you don't deal with it by drinking, you deal with it by leaning into it.
Right.
I guess. So we'll see but I do have to say it was wrapped up a little too quick and easy, but I kept wondering, like, what are Sandy's moves going to be? Because I was so frustrated that he wasn't picking a side, or at least I kind of felt like the writers weren't letting us know that Sandy knows or like what his moves are going to be about this Griffin guy, and so he clearly steals these papers, puts them in a safe. They're incriminating what's going to happen. And I think I said this last time, it felt like a storyline. Sometimes in TV, you've got 40 minutes. There are certain storylines that aren't super well fleshed out.
Right.
And it felt like they were trying to wrap this one up a little bit quickly.
I'm happy for it to be wrapped.
Yeah. Well, that very well may have been the case where they were just kind of anxious to wrap this storyline up.
Right.
In general.
Because I can't. I mean, this whole everything's I don't remember if the hospital's actually built.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We'll find out.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
So the show ending montage was "Waiting for You" by Ben Harper, and it starts with that Marissa.
Oh, crying for Julie.
Yeah, Mom. And it's that hug. And then what comes next?
And then Taylor comforts Summer with sugar and coffee.
He doesn't love me, she says.
Yeah.
Well, I want some sugar today.
Yeah.
I'm going to get some sugar.
You should.
Get you some sugar. And that's when Sandy, he puts the papers in the safe.
Ryan thanks Chloe.
And then
Seth is waiting for him.
He's like, Ryan and Seth, yeah. And this is actually a cute scene. He's like, I think I just made the biggest mistake of my entire life.
Who said that?
Seth.
Well, he did.
Oh, he did. And so Ryan goes, what does he say? We're going to pull an all-nighter. You got any ideas? And he goes, I need to get Summer back and I need to get into Brown. And he's like, any ideas? Like Ben or Ryan feels like if he's like, I'm back. I'm happy to be here. It's like that he's full of some gratitude right now.
Yeah. He's gone through something and he's happy to be back in it.
And he goes, you got any ideas? And he goes, well, and this is like, I wonder if this is probably improv, right? Where he says, we're going to break through the firewall.
Yeah, he's going to break into the firewall. I don't know
the brown firewall to get them to readmit. Oh. And then he goes, how do you, and Ryan says, well, that's a good idea. And he goes, yeah, well, my uncle went to DeVry.
That was an improv.
Oh, DeVry Institute.
Yeah.
I was laughing.
DeVry was definitely an improv. I remember putting that in and just being like, we're never going to get away with this. But it stayed.
It stayed. I laughed.
Very good.
I love that he said that. Because, back then, there were the DeVry commercials
always,
going on.
as a kid watching TV, DeVry Institute was always on.
Yeah.
During Three's Company.
Yes. Well, we also learned, Adam always said that when he'd go through this, it wasn't just in the moment. He would come up with things to try, and he would be, he
was definitely
prepared.
way more prepared.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, he would always tell me, if you're going to go on a talk show, you have to have your story completely prepared to hit the jokes and do this. And I was like, I can't do that. Anyway, well, that's the episode.
That's the episode. And you contributed so much to the show, and I learned so much. This is why I found it was so interesting to listen to the editors, because you get we do everything that we do, and then you guys get to put it together, and you just have all these wonderful little tidbits that we never knew about.
You do.
Yeah, credit to you guys. It's so much of it is about shaping and crafting performances, and when you have when the performances are there, which sometimes they're not, but with this cast, it almost always was, and really? So that you just had an embarrassment of riches of just trying to get it a little bit better than it was yesterday, and
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
there are times when I'll watch and I'm like, that was really good. That was a good choice. And I'm like, but I realize through this process how important the editors are. And also it's important that way. Sometimes, we take ourselves seriously and we're professional, but sometimes we don't have to take ourselves that as seriously. It's just like we do what we do. And, because I can be a perfectionist, but then that like it can, the old adage, it can be fixed in post. So anyway, but we have some
rapid fire
for you.
All right.
It's an either or answer.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Orange County or Bluebell, Alabama?
Orange County.
Kirsten or Kirsten?
Kirsten.
Marissa and Ryan or Marissa and Volchok?
Marissa and Volchok.
Yeah, right. I actually think it's pretty. Yeah. Anyway, it's HOT. Doctor or lawyer?
What's that referring to?
Her doctor.
Zoe Hart or Sandy
Oh,
Cohen?
yeah. Doctor.
Yeah.
That's right. Nerd Herd or Comic Book Club?
Nerd Herd.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
What is
whatever.
That's a Chuck thing, right?
Chuck, like their Geek Squad was the Nerd Herd.
See, I knew what this is.
I love me some
This is
Chuck.
why Rachel does the rapid fire. So Rachel writes these.
I had to Google it.
Chuck superpower or Runaways superpowers?
Chuck superpowers.
Ooh.
Sweet. High school or college?
High school.
And Josh or Stephanie?
Stephanie. Is the only answer that I'm going to be allowed to get away with.
Oh, really? Wow, very good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for
thanks
coming.
for
Thank
having
you for
me. It's a
coming.
blast.
You're gonna have to. You might have to come back and join us in season 4 because I know you were there for some of the wackiness of the whole thing.
Season 4 was crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
Very crazy. Well, like I said, thank you so much for listening. Follow, rate, and review Welcome to the OC Bitches wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you like to watch us, check it out on YouTube.
Bye, bitches.
Bye. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome to the OC Bitches is brought to you by Cast Media. Executive produced by Colin Thompson, Harris Lane, produced by Katie Curtwright,
Edited by Parker Flores and our technical engineers, Travis Holden and Dustin Park. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to start with the pilot episode and catch all of our episode recaps.